Welcome back, guys. I'm Panda Bennett of Arcane Panda, and today we are sitting down with the deck creators of what's becoming quickly one of my favorite decks, the Great Bear Oracle. Here we have Brenda Holmes and Sarah Hammond. And yeah, I will let you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you. I'm so excited. And thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I know how busy and crazy and hectic life is for everybody.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Panda. I feel really, really happy to be here. And excuse my voice, I don't normally sound like this. But yeah, I guess we're from Vancouver, or we met in Vancouver. I live in Vancouver now. Brenda lives up in Squamish. And yeah, we basically started the creation of the messages from the Great Bear, I'd say about 5 years ago. And we got our first edition and sold, well, we got our first edition printed just before COVID, sold out in COVID, and well, I guess is COVID on now? I don't even know anymore. And
Yeah.
then basically we reprinted our second edition. It was meant to be before Christmas, just gone, but ended up getting it in January. So the second edition is out now. But B, I'll let you give a little spiel.
Yeah, well, so yeah, it was pretty much a whole recap of where we're at with the deck and how long we've been working on it together. But yeah, we started it, I guess, 5 years ago. It took us about 4 years to get all of Sarah's drawings done, all of my write-ups edited and tidied up, and here we are. We didn't even think we'd be getting to a second edition. So it's like, it fills my heart, Panda, to hear you say that it's becoming one of your favorite decks, knowing how well versed you are in the deck world. Yeah, Sarah and I are really excited to be here. So thank you for having us too.
Yes, absolutely. I first purchased this deck. I moved from South Dakota to Oregon. And so I was looking at all things Pacific Northwest. And then I was like, there's got to be some tarot decks, oracle decks. Like, I want everything, for the Pacific Northwest. And this arrived the week that we left South Dakota. So the deck arrived and I packed it in my purse. I was like, I'm not going to pack it up in the boxes because I'm going to need it. And immediately as we were coming out here, I mean, the deck was just immediately relevant. Like, I was like, what is that? Like, what are these birds that are all over? And they were like, oh, those are stellar jays. That's what those are called. Like, and so it's just, I've learned so much about my home and my journey, and it just all fits together so well. And I also feel like I'm in a very green era, like very plant nature based, like very calm green. I don't know, feel very green. And so the deck just resonates so deeply and I absolutely love it. And the guidebook is so well done. Like, it's just really in depth. I absolutely love it. So I want to know everything about the people that created my favorite deck. So tell me a little bit about your hobbies, or your spiritual journey that led you here. Like, besides your guys' deck, of course, what's your favorite tarot oracle deck that you guys like to use?
Yeah, let you go.
Oh yeah, I love, for tarot, I love the Usi deck. That is my current favorite. My first tarot deck, it's called the Tarot de Paris, and I found it when I was like, who knows, like 13, 14 in chapters, and it was one of the only tarot decks available at the time, and I still have it. The write-ups are a little bit abstract, which is interesting now that I look back and I've had more knowledge of like the traditional imagery and symbolism through tarot. So, but it's still one of the decks. It was my very first deck. So I hold it really dear. And it's, yeah, for me, I guess my spiritual journey, it's funny, like actually thinking about that Tarot de Paris deck, it's very full circle, because I was a weird teenager. I was super goth for a time. I loved all things like new age and spiritual. So I went down that witchy path, and then that kind of opened up for me into yoga, which I've been practicing for, oh my gosh, probably over like 20, 25 years now. And that's something Sarah and I share. So we met designing yoga clothes for Lululemon. We practiced yoga together. I definitely was a little bit more into the woo than she was. But when I saw her beautiful drawings, I was so inspired. I was like, this can inspire people. Like, we need to do this cool thing to really connect ourselves back to the natural environment. And that's one thing I think also spiritual for me is like being outside, being outdoors, connecting, going to the water is one thing that I've always done. And I think learning more about it, the past few years I've been delving into shamanism, learning about different indigenous cultures and practices and our own European traditions more recently. It's just been really eye-opening how cool it is that these things, and then I'm having a hard time putting it into words, but it's like a knowing to like reconnect with, like a very old knowing, if that makes sense.
I really liked the phrase of rewilding. Like, I really like that. Like, it feels like this ancient, healing, returning to the earth and that old knowledge, and just cutting through all the noise and the daily stress and like the buzz of social media, and getting back to the stillness and the grounding of nature and the outdoors and the wisdom of the animals and all of that. I really enjoyed that term, the rewilding. And I also really liked, I'm trying to think guidebook wise. I really, really appreciate, as an Afro-Indigenous person, that you included the land acknowledgements in your guidebook. I started to tear up. To me, that's really important. And I don't see it a lot. I don't see it enough. And then the deck was also created to honor the earth. And I really like that. A big part of stuff that I've found in spirituality has really turned me to like green living or zero waste, and just made me really aware of like the impact that we have on the earth. And so I really appreciate when I can find things that are made sustainably and trying to be as minimal as possible. I really enjoy that. And I know that it's not always cheapest or easiest. So I appreciate the work that you guys put into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we were talking about this the other day, about how obviously the animals, and like in the end of the day, we are animals as well. And we were kind of joking the other day that we should put in a human as like almost a joker of the pack, because I think that's what we forget, that we could be one of the messengers. And we think we're this higher power because we're humans. So we were kind of like, I think that's one thing that has been really important to us, that we are the whole getting back to nature, and we're not this important human being, basically. But in terms of going back to the question, like I'd never really done any tarot or oracle cards. I'd maybe done a little bit as a test when I was younger, but nothing at all really. And then Brenda did reach out to me, and she was like, we were working together, and she was like, I think your drawings would be great for a oracle deck. And I was kind of like, yeah, sure. Like, didn't really know anything about it. And because again, I used to work as a designer, and I'd kind of lost my way a little bit in the designing world, and just I felt like I was redesigning things just for the sake of it and just to put on the shelves, and it just didn't make much sense to me. And I'd always drew, but did like fashion design at university, but so never like art as a kind of career. And then I just wanted to draw. And when I moved to Vancouver, similar to you, it was like I saw a Stella Jay and a bear and a raccoon, and I just wanted to draw them. I just felt really drawn to draw them. And I just started drawing lots of different animals, and I was like selling them as cards and prints and things like that. And then Brenda was kind of like, these would make a great oracle deck. And I'm like, cool, okay. So I think I'd maybe drawn 15 or 20 to start off with, as well as some other artwork. And it's like, okay, we've got to do 52 animals and like, or creatures. And it was like, okay, we're on this, let's do it. So that's kind of how that started. But again, I felt like through my leaving my designer job, I wanted to do art. And I felt like I thought through art I could find like a charity to put some of my profits into a charity, and that's kind of how I felt like I wasn't giving back as a designer, and I felt like I could as an artist. So that's kind of how it brought me here. But yeah, Brenda brought me actually the Wild Unknown for my birthday. So that was like my first real deck that I got into. So again, I feel like I'm still very much like a beginner in the Oracle and Tarot world, whereas B is kind of like the witchier one. But I think it's made a really nice kind of balance for how the deck's been created, because I think it does appeal to beginners as well as like yourself, who's like, you know, been invested in this world for ages. So that's kind of where it comes for me. That's my background, I guess.
That's so beautiful. And I love that your guys' collaboration came together so seamlessly. Like when those things happen that you just know that they're from the universe, like they're meant to be, they just fit together, they work out really well. Yeah. And I'm so excited now that we have the second edition. You guys made some changes, you added some new cards. I didn't think that I could like the deck anymore. And then of course, my absolute favorite card was added, which is bee. I love bees so much. We keep bee motels and plant like wildflowers and that kind of stuff. Nice. So I absolutely love that. So what is your guys' favorite card? Do you each have one?
I think mine all depends, but currently my favorite card is the Turkey Vulture. We were talking about this recently, and it's one of the newer ones that we've put in. But just when B sent, like, they're so kind of vile but brilliant at the same time. Just like the fact that they have no feathers on their head, because they really get into like rancid meat and things like that, and how they repel by throwing up if they're being like. And when Brenda sent all the wording through, it was just, it was brilliant. It was just like, oh my God, B, this is brilliant. Like I loved it. And I think that's also what I got really excited about, because I would send a drawing off to B and then she would come back with a version, and it would just be like, oh B, this is gold. It was so nice just to have that as our little like back and forth. It was amazing. But yeah, I think for me it changes every time.
Brenda, do you have a favorite?
The one card I always come back to is the Raven. I just love Raven. Yeah, just love. I think it's funny. It is one of our darker cards, but I think there's such beauty within it too. And like I just every time I'm like, Ravens.
They're so beautiful. And what I didn't know until I moved here is how big they are. Like they're huge.
Big.
Yeah.
And their call is so different from, you know, the crow, which is their obviously very similar cousin, but they're such an impactful animal when you see them in person.
Yeah. And there is a visible difference to like the shapes of their heads and stuff. Like I have lots of crows. Well. That I feed, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I've ever seen a raven or not. And then I was outside, I was drinking coffee when one flew down and landed. And I mean, he was like the same size as my baby. I mean, he was just huge. And I was like, nope, just kidding. Now I've seen a raven, like for sure.
For sure.
They are very different. Like when you see them, I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that they were that big.
How about you?
You know what? I really love, this is probably weird. Well, first of all, I love the green card backs. And I love that there's no like other extra design. They're just the straight green, but I really like this because, you know, I've never really seen, I'm doing a lot of ancestry work, but I've never seen lullabies, I don't think, in any of my other decks. And I love these three. So the humpback whale has lullabies, records, and ancestry. And something about that is just feels really beautiful and like really soft, but like powerful. And I really like that. I like when I come across different things. Yeah.
That card, if I may share, this one, so our process is Sarah would kind of send me drawings and I'd I'd meditate on it. Sometimes I'd get visuals, sometimes I get words. Other times I just kind of like write a bunch of nonsense and like see what I could pull out after. With Whale, though, I distinctly remember because Sarah, and also Sarah would send me all of the ecological facts. So she's very like, here's the habitat, here's some really cool facts about each animal. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So with the whale, I loved meditating brought back me to ancestors, but also like records of the past, but almost like a storytelling through lullaby because of their beautiful songs. And it was a really, really beautiful message I received. So I'm so happy that one was your favorite.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. So we went through kind of what your creative process, and of course your inspiration was the animals of the Pacific Northwest, but your production process, you put out a second edition while in a pandemic, and I know that deck creators have gone through hell and high water to, for shipping and mailing and this and that. How did the production go for you? How did you choose? Were you able to find someone locally? How did it go, your production process?
Yeah, so our first deck was printed here in Vancouver with one company, and we had a few problems, and we felt like we wanted to improve it anyway. So, and also cost, to be honest, because it was our first edition. We had a certain number of units that we did. We had to almost go with a certain printer, but it was a local printer. And then the second printer, because we knew we could order more units because we had like already a bit of a history and we knew we could sell, we ended up using the best printer that we could find in Vancouver. So we're in Vancouver, so it's literally a 15-minute bike ride, the print shop from me.
Oh, good.
So
that's probably makes
yeah.
it nice so that you can like see samples and talk back and forth. And
totally. Like
good.
Riley, I feel like Riley could almost, like the guy that he could almost be like the godfather to my son. He like met, like he was at our house quite a bit, like doing, just like, here we've got this paper, we've got this, we've got like a sample deck for you to see like size and things like that. So we went with them, which was amazing. And we wanted to use, for the previous deck wasn't recycled paper, but this deck, the book cover and the cards are all 100% recycled paper, all from North America. So that was an update that we did from the previous deck. The box cover is also recycled, but the actual skeleton of the box isn't. But we're hoping, if a third edition ever comes out, we want to kind of I feel like every edition that we do, every print, we want to improve the quality, but we obviously have a price point that we have to kind of stick with as well. Yeah. So I would say 80% of the deck is 100% recycled. And like I say, that all of that is printed here in Vancouver. And then, but we did have, because of the recycled paper, we wanted to hit this pre-Christmas, but there was, again, because of the pandemic, there's been like water paper shortages, and so we couldn't get hold of the recycled paper until like it delayed it basically. So we could have gone for something different, but we decided to stick with the recycled, and then we just had to like, we were basically 3 months delayed because of that. And then what else? The actual box, the assemblement of the box is actually made in Montreal, but again, still in Canada. We wanted to keep it here. We could have got it shipped out to China or somewhere like that, but we wanted to keep it all as local as possible. So we did that there in Montreal. And yeah, I think, but again, it's been so nice to, we want to just keep this like as local as possible, again, just for, and I know other people that have had things made in China and they've had their problems like getting things to and from, so we didn't have those problems, but it was, yeah, we had the problems of the paper shortages basically. But I think everyone, do you know what was really nice? We've had orders down in the States, here and obviously I've been in contact with people to say that were delayed, and everyone has just been so nice and so like they'll come when they're ready. It's gonna arrive. And like there was I had so much like back and forth customer service emails, and at first I was like, oh my god, this is a nightmare. But in the end, it was almost like really heartwarming how lovely everyone was, and just they were like, we know that so much love has gone into this deck. It will come when it's ready. It's like a baby. It's like, don't rush it. And it was just like, oh, thank you, because I had like lots of people's money that did pre-orders, and I was like, felt so bad.
Yeah.
But it was really beautiful how much everyone supported this, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't have, you know, we needed that support up front for some of our initial costs, and we were so grateful to everybody to like stick with us. And like Sarah said, like we didn't, like everyone was so supportive. It was like, and Sarah was the one dealing with everybody. I was just getting her recaps, and I was just like, oh, relief. It was so nice.
I know, I think I got 2 returns, and they, like the 2 people that had to cancel, they were like either moving, they were one was traveling and another one was moving, and it was just like that was it out of however many sales. So that was really like, yeah, again, heartwarming.
Yeah, most of us deck collectors, we are more than willing to wait for the decks that we really believe in. So and I'm glad that everyone was kind. That's good.
No, totally. And I think even with the printers, like I said to them at one point, we knew that it was going to be delayed, and it was just like, if it's going to be ready in January, let's not push this. At the end of the day, it's an oracle deck. This isn't heart surgery. It's like, we want this to be mindful, and I feel like it will come across as well if we rush it. So it was like everyone was on board for it in the end. So it was really, yeah, it was great.
Can you tell us about like how you use the deck? If you feel like it's best for just daily card pulls, if you do once a month, once a week, how you use it, that type of stuff. Just tell us a little bit about your personal practices.
So I use a bunch of different ways. Daily card, awesome. Going into like a meeting, or if I have a big event or something, a decision I've been ruminating on, I'll pull a card with a specific intent for that. If I do want to go deeper, like I love like the year ahead spreads, and I'll do that all with the messengers cards, and also with tarot, and then like pull messengers could kind of give a little bit deeper insight or different energy overlay to the other cards. So lots of ways. But for me, yeah, I think I probably use them most frequently as like that one card or that one situation I'm going into, and like, what can I hold with me when I go in there, you know?
Yeah, and for me, I've been, I actually did a book called The Artist's Way a long time ago, which I think really helped. It's a book by Julia Cameron, and she gets you to do like these daily pages. So basically like journaling. So you write 3 pages every day. And so whenever I do that, and I'm trying to do it more often right now, but I'll do 3 pages, and then I'll have a question, like a question will come out through my pages, and then I'll pull a card for like just how to kind of either deal with a problem that I've got that's come up through the pages, or just how to kind of go forward into the day. And then another thing that I really liked that B and I did was whenever we would have a meeting, like we would pull a card for kind of set the intention of the meeting. And I think we had a meeting not long ago, and it was about just where we were with it, and we got the jellyfish, and it was really nice because it because it doesn't have any bones, and we were like, we've got to the 2nd edition and we don't have a real structure of, we've just kind of gone with the flow for the whole time, and we're like, if we want to build this as something, we really need to start building those bones. So now we've been building the bones to kind of like grow this as a business, and it's been really nice just doing that as well. So yeah.
So now that you've created this deck, what's next? Is there anything you can share about your guys' next steps? Are you just going with the flow? Is there another project that you see in the future? Or is it all top secret?
B, what do you want to say? I don't know how much.
We can share a little bit. I mean, we have ideas, Panda. Yeah. Who knows? Like, we're both, as you know, new moms. So getting even the 2nd edition out in a pandemic while like having a kid.
Getting a shower is crazy, let alone publishing an entire deck.
But we do, like, if this goes well and we get a good response, one thing like I'd really love to do is a messengers from like the botanical world. And I really have been into talking with plants the past few years. So I would love to do like a flower-based or a plant-based deck and see Sarah's beautiful drawings for that. But again, like maybe that'll be maybe another 4 years, because that sounds like the first one to go.
And I think, yeah, because originally we decided to call this the Messengers from the Great Bear, and then recently we like shortened it to Messengers from, because we do want to build it as we have the option of, and again, I'm in my head, I'd love to do like Messengers from the Serengeti or somewhere else and just draw, I don't know, the big cats and like, I don't know. So yeah, but again, I feel like we have the big ideas, and we still need to get the bones of this, and then we'll see how it does. So, but yeah, and that we have spoken about doing, well, we've got some postcards coming soon. So they're just at the print house right now.
And hopefully a journal.
Yeah, hopefully a journal.
For
oh, and then we've got one more thing that maybe we'll keep that one a secret. We've got a little collaboration.
Well, we have 2 collaborations.
Oh yeah.
Oh
2?
shit. Yeah.
What's this? I'm like, what was the second?
No. Well, you know. Anyway, we'll keep those secret.
Okay, we'll keep those
Okay, you guys will have to come back and tell us.
I'm like, what's the second? I know one, and I'm like, oh. Okay.
That's so exciting. And it's so nice to meet you guys, to see the faces behind the deck and then put in all the work to create this, amazing labor of love. And before you go, what advice would you give to aspiring deck creators?
I mean, stick with it, and go easy on yourself, but like keep some milestones, Yeah.
And I think also, especially learning from my first printer experience from the first edition, is be very clear on what you want. Keep records of all the paper samples, and just make sure you have notes on everything, and just have photographs of every, I don't know, the shape of the card. For example, the first deck that we got, we had little nicks in the side that we had to get shaved off, and just be really quality control. Be also the first deck, the book. We've improved the second edition so much, but the first deck, the book, the spine wasn't great, and I think we rejected about 200 of the first edition because they just weren't good enough quality. But I think be on top of all of those things. It's almost like, I feel like I've become like an operations manager for both decks, which is really not my I want to draw all day, but I've been very much like customer service, unless you can pay someone else to do that, you're doing the whole package. So
you're wearing a lot of hats. And Sarah, she wears a lot more hats than I do. But the whole experience was new to both of us. Like I've never I failed English in high school. I will be very honest with this fact. And here I am writing a book. Thankfully, my older sister is also a published author, and she was able to edit for us, but I had no idea what process would go into this. So I think also just like, if you're interested in doing this like a crazy project, like enroll your friends. Like I couldn't have done it without Sarah, because she, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like I haven't done this yet. She's like, it's okay, B. Like, when can you do it by? Okay, let's try this. And, it's just such a push-pull and flexibility, but also keeping motivated. And then just having the support from, my sister and my partner being like, oh, this crazy project that I'm doing after hours. It was a labor of love. And I don't think we could have done it. Like I couldn't have done it without Sarah, or without like the support of,
Yeah. Well, it was absolutely lovely to meet both of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us. Again, for anybody watching, I will put all the links down below so you can connect with Brenda and Sarah, and you can pick up your copy of the Great Bear Oracle. Again, if you want to use the code LOVEPANDA for 15% off, I will put their website and everything down below. Make sure to check it out. And thank you so much, ladies, for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, we will see you guys back for when you come back to tell us about your next top secret projects, okay?
Oh, we'd love to be back. Thanks for having us, Panda.
Yeah, take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.